Hello, welcome to my fifth Shift Happens show. I'm kind of proud of myself being consistent. That was one of my goals, New Year's resolution. Better late than never. Anyway, today's topic is about gratitude. Because I was thinking last night, things I'm grateful for that people may not think they're worth being grateful for. Like when I was in the hospital after the stroke, I told the doctor that he said, "Oh, you're probably bored being in here 4 weeks." And I said, "Actually, no. One, they kept me busy with so much freaking homework. I had no time to be bored. The other thing is, I told him it was actually an amazing experience. Do I want it again? No, once is enough. But I have to say, I'm very grateful for the stroke and what it taught me. And I remember some of you may have seen it that I said I had never been more grateful for my body when it wasn't working. And then watching it heal, we worked together as a team, and I'm still healing it nearly 3 years later, and there's still things I'm still working on in my right hand and stuff, and it just lets me know, yeah, you had a stroke, calm your shit down. And then I was thinking about even when Andrew was diagnosed, we were always trying to be positive, and he always was anyway. It was unbelievable. He would always say, "I'm awesome." And then, when I found out that he said that if he can go back in time, he would have not changed anything. And I'm like, WTF? And I said, "What?" I said, "I wouldn't a heartbeat." He goes, "No, Mommy, there's been more good than bad." And this is a kid getting chemo shot into his spine twice a week. He couldn't eat, let alone swallow. Like I said, I had that as a teacher. But I look back at even though he passed, um, I'm grateful we had those 4 months. As hard as it was watching this fucking disgusting disease just ravage my son, it was really hard to watch. But I am grateful for that time. And when it's part of my play, and I said we're only going to remember the good times, and I have remembered the good times. Not as much as I thought, because when I go back in my book and read it, I then want my son back, because there's been so much that has happened with him since he's passed, you know. But, and when he told me, he goes, "Yeah, I know, Mommy." And he goes, "You know what else? I'm happy." And it blew me away. And I told him he was my hero, and he says, "I couldn't do this without you and Daddy." So even we were grateful with, going through that leukemia experience. We found things to be grateful for. When he had a great night, and him and I staying up watching John Denver videos, or he had good results for this or that, we found things to be grateful for. And then, Martin was diagnosed and finding things to be grateful for. Um, you know, when he came back to Darien, he was told he had 3 to 6 months, and he had like 4.5 years. So, we're grateful for that. So I promise you, there are always things, no matter what, to be grateful for. Okay. You may have to look a little hard for them, but they're there. I was, devastated leaving my home, leaving my kids. But I was grateful that when I got here, Martin had things set up and I didn't have to spin the plates, and I could actually, I'm sorry, relax. And my blood pressure showed it. It was like 116 over like 65, which was never that in the States, let me tell you. So, and then as time went on, I don't even miss my house. I don't miss Florida anymore, especially since, my kids are with me, and I'm grateful for that. And, they're looking for things because it was hard for them. My daughter thought she was going to be in her home forever like I was. My grandkids were going to learn to swim in my pool, and all birthdays and everything between, and so it's hard, but we focus on what we're grateful for. And we're grateful that we're together and we're healthy and we get to see each other and be there, and grateful for the community that we have, so, all right, is that 5 minutes? I guess I've talked enough about that. But when you are really struggling, think about what you're grateful for, no matter what. You can think, like I'm grateful, like I have no pain, because when I have pain, I'm like, oh, damn it, I didn't think about being grateful, you know. So be grateful if you have no pain, and if you have pain, be grateful that it's not worse, or you have something that you can take for it, whatever. But if you can think every day, 3 things you're grateful for, and you'll see how things can change. Because I look at Derry, and to me, Derry is an amazing city. And when I hear people that are from here, calling it, they don't calling it names and stuff. I'm like, no. I said, that's not the Derry I know. It's not the Derry I know. I know a Derry that's friendly and opening and community. So that's the topic of today, gratitude. And that's how you make shift happen. It really is. So, and with my sons, live your life with no regrets and die laughing and grateful.